Tarumbeta italia katika anga.
Like this. That is how the trumpet will sound.
IKONINI. So jana kuna like accidentally happened, and after the accident could happen, I ended up like digging and trying to find out who the guy was, ule the MP who passed away, and found out he was a very interesting character, unajua, and a very divisive character and a very controversial character. I think the right word kutumia ni controversial. So first nilisikia hii news kwa Citizen, alafu nikacheki posts kadhaa za watu kadhaa, nikaamua kudigin. Wacha tucheki ule Citizen ilireport.
Emurua Dikirr, Member of Parliament Johanna Ngeno, is among 6 people who died in a chopper crash in Dikirr Forest in Nandi North. Nandi County Police Commander Samuel Mukusi has confirmed that the legislator was among those who died after the chopper they were travelling in crashed and burst into flames. I beg your pardon. The chopper crashed at 4:45 as it attempted to lift off after landing at the edge of the forest due to bad weather and poor visibility.
So okay, so your story inasemekana that hii plane ilikuwa isha land because of bad weather and poor visibility, and ikatry to take off, ikabaki ime crash like a few minutes later. That's very important information to keep. Why? Because of the conspiracy theories that came straight after. But hey, tuendele.
All the 6 people on board, including the pilot, are said to have died on the spot.
Yeah. So I say wasita isemkana wamededi. So baadaye naenda online. Alafu nikienda online, the first thing naona, cause huwa ganafuatilia stories za ubuda, ninacheki Gachagua. And Gachagua anasema that according to him, this death needs to be investigated, and the reason why it needs to be investigated is because MP anaitwa Johanna Ngeno apparently alikuwa sijui anatry kulead the Kipsigis. So that's one of the things ile siku ana understand, but sasa ndio nasema like afterwards when you start finding out, you find out a lot. So wacha tusikize Gachagua. I don't know alikuwa wapi hapa, because nasikia the accident happened at around 4:45 p.m. So this must have been like late in the evening, and somehow he'd found out like umsame dedi, alafu akaamua kubonga juu yake.
Sisi tunataka kuuliza uchunguzi kamili, kwa sababu tunajua huyo kiongozi amekuwa na pingamizi kali pale kwa Kipsigis, kwa sababu amekuwa kingpin ya wa Kipsigis. We want to call for a very thorough investigation into the helicopter crash that has killed the Honorable Johanna Ngeno. Tunataka 1 minute of silence in honor of the Honorable Johanna Ngeno, mjumbe wa pale Dikirr.
Hiyo jina John ngumu jo, ni Emurua whatever. So unaweza chekio hint, like the hint is there was foul play, and this Kenya says to live in a very interesting time, because this would also take me back to the Jirongo time, where people right now, any death that happens of a prominent person, especially if that prominent person has ever said anything that's against Ruto, what ends up happening is we ignore the present, even if that person made peace with Ruto, and we start claiming that there was foul play. And ingine, they were not even only looking at Ruto, they were also looking at ubuda mwingine anaitwa Murkomen. That was the interesting thing about it, because I remember seeing this tweet, and each tweet ilikuwa like, damn, because don't forget, jana ilikuwa the 28th of February 2026, but apparently on the 28th of February 2016, Jacob Juma, the late, had said something very interesting. Alikuwa ameandika, if anybody knows Honorable Ngeno, tell him to get in touch with me on Monday. I'll pay him 200,000 shillings in cash for just for slapping Murkomen. Alafu kuna boy anajita Lazo alikuwa ameandika, did you notice that this tweet about Johanna Ngeno was posted on 28th Feb 2016, and today is Feb 28th 2026, exactly 10 years. So that was an interesting find. And now with that, of course, I had to try and find out like, what is all this story about Murkomen versus Ngeno? Because kumbuka vile nimesema, as soon as the plane crash really happened, now the conspiracy theories started flying. Do I think there's any grand conspiracy? No. This is a situation whereby, helicopters are known to be dangerous. And since they're known to be dangerous, I think there's even someone who also had tweeted that. I think because this is the tweet that I first saw before I even saw about the MP Kudedi. Kuna msali kwa mepost, alikuwa ameandika, anaitwa Cycling Masai, Mickey Michael, alikuwa ameandika, na kumbuka juzi Prophet Habakkuk Mwafrika akisema how unsafe helicopters huwa. And yeah, that's something nimekuwa on record nikisema, stay under helicopter, and I don't know if that's something I want to experience. I think in life kuna one of those things where I'll be okay if I never stay under helicopter life yangu. I'd be okay. Najua, I feel like they're too unstable, too what. So that's what I'd written. But sasa, vile nimesema, the conspiracy theories are there. Do I think there's any conspiracy? No. This is someone who died. Why? Because people, number one, wase udedi. Number two, no one knows the time or the hour. And number three, helicopters are effed up. Ikikam to hapa Kenya, I'd say number one effed up, of course, ni public roads. Long distance driving, super dangerous. And I'd say number two, I'd put helicopters there, man. Yeah, I'd put helicopters, and then tuweke hizi vitu zingine zote ikam to travel. So kuna sasa tweet ilikuwa shared bado ya Jacob Juma, and this is apparently Jacob Juma alikuwa na bonga juu ya Ngeno still. So alikuwa amesema, you're killing me, cried Murkomen as Ngeno punched him so hard. OCS Wilson Airport intervened and separated them. So ili inakaili happen hapa Nairobi. Hizi tweets za Ngeno zilikuwaga so wild that I remember at some point when I started seeing people, because people are reposting a lot of them, I had to ask Grok, like, is this real? So kulikuwa na hii tweet, especially tweet moja, if anybody knows Ngeno, tell him to get in touch with me on Monday, I'll pay him 200,000 shillings. Nikauliza Grok, is this a real tweet? Why? Because this was too much. Like, wasa walikuwa napata tu vitu Jacob Juma alikuwa amesema juu ya Ngeno, and specifically on the 28th of February, which was just a very wild coincidence. Alafu yeah, Grok ikasema, yes, that's a genuine tweet from Jacob Juma on February 27th. It still exists with the original ID. But on our side, I guess, tuliona on 28th. I don't know why Grok nasema 27th, because you can see it's 28th. So yes, this was alafu, so blomecheki, so the first suspect ilikuwa ni Murkomen. So like, Murkomen lazima kuwa involved kwa hii kifo. Alafu the next one ilikuwa ni Samoei. Na hiyo Samoei ilikuwa interesting because of course if such a death happens, the president has to comment. Why? Because this is a member of parliament, and not just a member of parliament, but this is a member of parliament from Rift Valley. So the president alikuwa ameandika, I've received with profound shock and deep sadness the news this evening of the passing of Emurua Dikirr, member of parliament, Mheshimiwa Johanna Ngeno. My friend Mheshimiwa Ngeno was a progressive and devoted servant of the people who worked tirelessly on behalf of the residents of Emurua Dikirr, Narok County. He was focused, vocal and fearless, a leader who stood firmly for justice and equity for all. He'll be remembered for the tangible progress achieved under his leadership and his exemplary commitment to promoting local talent, especially in music. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family, his friends, and the people of Emurua Dikirr, and all the victims and families affected by the helicopter crash in Mosop, Nandi County. Because yes, this is also one of the things ile helicopter crash hufanya. The only mse kumbukagwa ni ule mse mmoja. Kumbuka ilikuwa nani? Kobe Bryant vile alicrash. Yeah, ilikuwa na familia ingine hapo, but we just remembered Kobe, the daughter wake, and the others. Ndio baadaye tulikuwa, damn, who are the others? Then was trying to find out. So hapo ilikuwa nini? So unaweza shindwa kwa nini Ruto alikuwa accused ya hii story. Is Kozumse anaitwa nani? Walikuwa na a very interesting relationship with Ruto, where there are videos where he'd say some very wild stuff about Ruto. Unajua, and this is the reason why sasa wako like, kaunini. But when you think about it, these guys ended up being friends. So hii nasemekana it was around 2015. And I don't know walikuwa mekosana na Ruto juu ya nini. So he decided to tear Ruto a new one. Wacha tusikize.
Kwa sababu unapenda sisi. William Ruto, waje nikuambie, mapenzi hatutaki. Mapenzi pelekea bibi yako. Ambia William Samoei, mapenzi yapelekea nani? Sisi watu ya Narok tuko na Mwenyezi Mungu ambaye ako juu. Anatuchunga na anatupenda. Juzi bibi yako alikuwa anaomba makanisani mpaka anapiga magoti. Hata Mwenyezi Mungu amrehemu. Akiomba leo, kesho unafanya dhambi mbili.
Masikio akiomba leo, kesho unafanya dhambi mbili. I don't want to know. And this is also a video that shows you how Ruto is such a shrewd politician, and when it comes to politics, yes, he has such a, in quotes, forgiving heart. Like, alisema some wild stuff about him, especially his wife. They're like, damn, man. Just dragging Rachel hapo. Rachel yuko like, I was praying for this water to turn from dirty water to clean water. What are you doing? Dragging me.
Akiomba kesho unafanya dhambi nyingine. Kwa nini unafanyika kazi ngumu bibi yako? Kwa nini hata wewe usihurumie bibi yako? Anakuombea kila siku. Hata mpaka mimi mwenyewe nahurumia yeye, sijui hata taambia yeye. Nilikuwa nimeandikia yeye SMS Rachel. Hii bwana yako hii, afadhali wachane na yeye mpaka kura iishe ndio murudiane.
Nasikia hiyo jo. Hii bwana yako hii, achana na yeye, umrudie baada ya nini. Like, damn, that was like what he'd said about Ruto. And you see, with this sort of situation, Sunday unapata wasako like, lazima ikuwe Ruto alijam na yeye. Like, hii video ni over maybe 10, 11. I think hizo ni zile siku alikuwa anapigana na nani. Alikuwa anapiganga Murkomen. I think those were those days, allegedly. Because hii story pia kunyonga Murkomen tumesikia from a dead man. But now, other things that nilibaki nimecheki juu yake ilikuwa akibonga juu ya Gen Zs, and this actually surprised me because this is a guy who kunasemekana he actually voted for the finance bill in 2024, and after he voted for the finance bill, that's one of the reasons why pia ukienda online, like one of the things that you'll see a few people, unajua kuna kuangana wasitu na kuangana za ovyo wale wana celebrate hiyo kifo. I always find it to be bullshit to celebrate death. Why? Because death ni kitu wote sisi wote will have to go through, and no one knows the time or the hour. Unajua inakujaga, death comes, alafu pia you're celebrating kwa mtu wezi sikia vibaya. So but I don't know, man. So kuna kitu msalisema juu ya Gen Zs, and this was actually something positive considering that this was someone who was now afterwards alikuwa ni Ruto damu kabisa, but he ended up saying something very interesting after the Gen Z that like protests that 2024.
I was the last member of parliament to leave Bunge, apart from Bishop Kosgei. I stood there taking videos, and the videos I took, Your Excellency, ilikuwa ya maajabu. Hawa vijana wetu walikuwa wameshika simu kwa mkono ya kulia, wakashika bendera kwa mkono ya kushoto. What do you do with that kind of people? That person is a patriot. Askari walishuta hawa mpaka wao wenyewe wakaniambia, mheshimiwa tutoroke. We cannot kill these boys.
Damn, nacheki. So msana kwa na recount like what happened on June 25th, 2024. And yeah, it was an interesting day because of course jioni na kungavile Ruto alitokea alikuwa jam. That was the day that people nearly took away his presidency. And when you think about it, it was because of arrogance. The people had said no. And sometimes just listen to the people. You can't, huwezi dedisha kila mtu. So just listen. And somehow he decided he was not going to listen. And that's the reason why people ended up preaching parliament. So umsal kwa napatiana like now his experience from inside parliament. And you can see this was actually a positive nini. Parliament, this one, like patriots. Najua. So, tuendelee.
They are our sons and daughters, and they are not armed. Bendera na simu. Kijana ameshika simu ako live. Ako live. So, hawa vijana wametufundisha kitu ya maana sana. Kwamba lazima pia kama ni demonstration has to be very peaceful. So, mheshimiwa naibu wa rais, sisi tunasema tumeshukuru mulisikiza ground na mumetupa hiyo bill, na tutashukuru tukiendelea kukata ile matumizi yetu kama maofisi.
of course hiyo ilikuwa short lived story ya kukata expenses. Ruto alituenjoy amekata expenses, alafu the next thing that we saw was of course expenses kazi imeendelea. Then another video pia ilikuwa released Joe mse, as I keep saying, it was a very nini, cause kumbuka ile time akidis Ruto inasemekana alikuwa amenyonga Murkomen ama alikuwa amepiga Murkomen. Yeah, Murkomen ilikuwa so funny that, and also so sad, because now people are sharing video fulani ya Murkomen ya kitambo. So kulikuwa na hii the actual tweet you are killing me, then the airport watu nini, then kuna msanii anaitwa Kipchumba Vyongo alibaki ameshare video fulani ya Murkomen. This is back in the days, I think Murkomen alikuwa ameenda kucheza game, alafu akicheza game ni kama aliumizwa. Then skiza acheki jopo Murkomen jo amevaa t-shirt imeandikwa Kenya jo. Kenya ndio inalia nini? Yeah, was Murkomen telling us what was going to happen to Kenya? Because don't forget, akina Murkomen, one of the things ilemua sifu nayo is they took advantage of the fact that people really loved Ruto at some point, and during this time they were the darlings of Kenya. So yes, they take advantage, and then even if they disappoint you, ni show yako. But now kuna clip fulani, hii clip inakaa ime happen sasa saa hizi, because most of these clips haziko dated, so it's really hard to know when the specific time when they happened, but in assume may happen around the time when Murkomen is actually the CS for internal security. So what happened, kuna makarao walikuwa deployed na hizo ma areas za Emurua, and of course makarao wa Kenya wakikuja, what's the first thing that they do? They just wanaanzaga tu kuua watu. Lichikiata kuna party fulani ili happen Kikuyu, and I don't even know what to say about that party. Ile kuna karao walienda pa kishoot kwa keja iko na watu ndani, and they are not thugs. Why? There are no consequences. Makarao wakifanyaga hizi vitu. So msa alikuwa ameenda on ground, and inaka alikuwa amejam kabisa juu wasa alikuwa anadidishwa, and he decided to confront the cops. And this is another video of him. So I've seen a side of him. Najua like for political survival, kama aliwork na Ruto, I understand. Najua I don't live in an ideal world. I think in the 2022 elections, if you needed to win anywhere in Rift Valley, you had to work with Ruto. So that was something that I fully endorse and I fully understand. And this is interesting, unajua, to see someone this passionate and risking. Also unajua makarao wa Kenya pia you're still risking it. Alikuwa amejam nao sana akiambia wasidedishane.
Where? Why are you killing people? Why are you killing people? Kasi ya nini? Why are you killing people? Mnataka nini hapa? What do you want here? Why are you killing people? Mbona mnaoa watu? Simama kwanza wewe. Why are you killing people? Why? How many people have you killed? Why are you killing people? Who? Nani mkubwa wenu? Nani mkubwa wenu?
Just jua every time unasikia ka silence hapo ametumia jina ya kuua. Like I say, I don't know kama dedisha swa ngapi, but unachiki alikuwa na confront and uliza like kwa nini mnadedisha watu? Because that's the one thing let's try understand kwa makarao wa Kenya. Like you always have to like outtreat life ni kama just something to discard, and inakuwaga for the pettiest of reasons. Kama hiyo kitu happen Kikuyu, I'd want to know more details about that, and I really want to see what Kimani Ichung'wah says about that. Is he going to let that slide because right now he's not popular on ground, ama is he going to be like, you know what, this should never happen? But hey, tuendelee kidogo.
Who's your boss? Yani nyinyi wewe ndio mkubwa.
So nacheki. So hii ni ilikuwa like one of the videos ya mse aki-confront Ase. But now, let's come to now the actual date. So jana, one of the things that he did was he posted a video in the morning akiwa kwa helicopter. And as I keep saying, huni mse sikuwa najua. I didn't know about him. Why? Because yeah, it's just that number one, maybe Stocky Rift Valley. Alafu number two, needle to say flies under the radar. There are too many MPs according to Mimi. I don't think Kenya needs wanakuwa like 300 people in parliament. I don't think we need that. We are overrepresented. We pay very high wages, and these fools keep talking about kuongeza zingine like IEBC needs to do this. Nakuwa ni nonsense. IKONINI, najua mwaka ni mpya lakini injili ni ile ile LemFi. So kama uko US, uko UK, uko Canada ama uko the UAE na unatry kutuma do Kenya, baki umechangamka, ingia LemFi, utabaki umepata the most competitive rates. Lakini apart from that, on your first transaction ya $100 or more, utapata $20 sign up reward. So unangoja nini? Baki umechangamka, chap chap, ingia LemFi. LemFi, international payments for everyone. IKONINI. But sasa so msa alikuwa amepost video fulani, and on that video it was interesting cause alikuwa naimba, kulikuwa na some gospel song playing, and this gospel song playing is one of those songs pia that I'd never heard jo. Mini zile raya za kawaida, but hii ngoma ilibaki imenibamba jo. But pia now in hindsight, of course, so you see the guy wakiwa kwa helicopter, so inasemekana that this was him walikuwa wanaenda kutafuta. Apparently kuna watu walikuwa washed na hizi floods. Sasa hizi floods zimekuwa ni serious, so walikuwa na try to search for the body. That makes no sense to me because umse ni an MP, hata akipanda huko juu akiona body atafanya nini? It makes sense. But what I found to be super interesting was the lyrics of the song. Unajua, because coincidences happen, and of course since we live in a very superstitious country, Razi ilikuwa that's not a coincidence, he predicted his own death. Okay, so ngoma yenyewe ilikuwa ni ulisema ninaposhindwa nikuite. Najua gospel jo, ni Sunday asubuhi na nakuimbia gospel. Mimi leo nakuita nisikie. Sijaisikia hii ngoma jo, lakini ngoma yenyewe ni bamba jo. Usiende mbali nami, usiniache ninapo peke yangu, Mungu wangu, Mungu wangu, Mungu wangu, Mungu wangu. So msali alikuwa anasikiza hii ngoma akishia wherever alikuwa anaenda, and of course the video was posted in the morning, and then jioni alikuwa gone. What do I feel about that? Do I feel like he predicted his own Nini? No. I think one thing that happens is no one knows the day, the time, or the hour. Because by the time, of course, wanaposti mtaposti mkiwa ground. I don't think walikuwa na internet huko juu. Ilikuwa tu, it's just a coincidence, man. That happens, and we don't know the time or the hour, man. And you try to give your best, because any day could be your last, and that's the worst thing about this thing called life. And also that's the best thing, because I try to imagine if we knew the time and the hour, we'd be there crying, because everyone, it's so easy to convince people history ya kuambia watu like kuna vile kuna heaven after hapa, and then there's the reality of the situation whereby we understand that just being here in the present is a blessing. And this is I think scientifically wanasemaga more people who could have existed have not existed. Unajua, cause nasigata ile stories how the sperm fertilize the egg, inakuwa ni mingi kabisa zimefuatana, just one makes it. Ama in some cases mtangukia kwenye twins, but how many people are left? Alafu pia kuna raya za kunyonga. Unajua msonyonga? Mimi sonyonga unishindaga. Utanyongaje na mademo na exist? Sasa unyonga sekao nikatiaga sana. Nikatiaga sana. Okay. So yeah, so kulikuwa na hiyo. Alafu pia soka baki amepost video yake fulani. I think when the guy had already reached where he was going, and all this to me point back to we never know the day or the hour. So this guy is dancing. If you told him that he'd not see the end of the day, he'd not have believed you. Najua he was dancing, he was having the time of his life, and yeah, then a few hours later he's gone. But now we'd have to go back to the accident itself. And with the accident itself, one of the reasons why I'm not squaggy like a what is it called? I'm not an investigator wa flights, but the story, because kuna hii video moja ilikuwa shared, and the video, of course, it's somehow it's not clear, but you can hear clearly like now like ukisikiza kwa news inasemekana kulikuwa na bad weather, and if you watch that video you can actually see bad weather, you can barely see the helicopter. Hata hapa inasemekana that straight after hapa ndio ili nini nikiona naiona hapo sijui kama imestall, and yeah, it's very foggy, and I think sometimes tunakuwaga in a hurry so much that we forget come to vitu kama helicopters, because the fact unasikia walikuwa kwa hewa due to bad weather wakakuja chini. So it means most probably if you had to ask me, the pilot was like, no, we need to land, this is very bad weather. Then maybe one out of the other 5, I'm not going to say this Ngeno guy, but could have been him because he was the ultimate boss, but one out of them most probably was in a hurry, akasema niaje lazima tuende, ukiona tu weather imeimprove kidogo acha tuishia, and then what happens, kitu inaenda up imecrash. Because now in hindsight, Barosmaga hindsight is a mother father, but in hindsight they could have just decided, you know what, wacha tunini mpaka either weather clear up ama tutoke kesho ama tuache hii heli hapa, let's go by road na cheki, ama let's even go back to kama I don't know how far this was from the Eldoret airport, let's go to the LA airport and use a plane, because a plane is much safer in such circumstances than Nini. But now of course the accident happens, and after the accident happens everyone has to show up and be like, you know what, this guy was my friend, and juu sana claim alikuwa best yao. What happens? People start showing up, and one of the people who showed up ilikuwa ni Cheragei, na hiyo Cheragei ilinibamba sana because remember kitu nimetoka kusema saa hizi nikisema that I'm not a crash whatever like specialist, but ukisikiza Cheragei hapa kusase kama unibambaga sana, sawa plane imecrash pale, why are you going there, like what are you going to achieve by going there, especially as an MP umetoka shughuli zako umeenda hapo. So wacha tusikie.
What I can say is that I have been able to visit the scene where there was wreckage of an helicopter, and I have seen 6 bodies which are still on site. The police are still investigating the scene, and we are expecting the serious crime units to join us in a few.
Why are the serious crimes units there? Inakuonyesha vile Kenya pia tunakuwaga tu za ovyo. I don't think that's a serious crime. I think that's something that's supposed to be investigated now to a flying. I don't know what they are called. I think call international national transportation and something, whatever. Yeah, but serious crime? But I don't know, man. I think maybe they are the only people who can do forensic analysis. Maybe.
We have a number of ambulances. I want to thank the police. They have already been signed. They are continuing with the evidence analysis. What I want to appeal to our people is that let us give the police and avoid interfering with the scene where the wreckage of the helicopter is. Now, we hope the police will expeditiously be able to finish the processing so that we can move these bodies because there is rain, there is mud. So we expect the police to fast track what the evidence they are collecting so that when the bodies are being taken to mortuary, they have finished their work. And we hope at least before 8 to 9, the body should have been moved from this place.
So unacheki hapo vile anabonga jia nini mpaka anapatia na timelines like cause such an investigation, even if inaenda kuduya, of course the bodies, I don't think the bodies necessarily need to be there, but do I think politicians need to be there, show up for these photo moments and video moments? I don't think it's necessary. Do I understand? Yes, maybe baadaye unaweza sema the way he was your friend and when he passed away ulikuwa hapo, you know, that nonsense, score a few points, but I didn't think this was necessary. But tuendelee kidogo.
Anataka nishukuru wananchi wa hapa kwa sababu wakati janga la ilipatikana walikuwa kwanza kufika, naambiwa kuna mtu mmoja karibu waokolewe, mtu mmoja ambaye karibu mmoja wawili ambao karibu waokolewe, lakini walipata other injuries ambaye after 30 minutes one of them passed on because there were no attendance of emergency services. So kitu ambaye nataka nishukuru wananchi wakati tunaendelea kusema pole kwa wale ambao wamepoteza wapendwa wao ambao tumeona mili yao, ni kuwauliza tu tukue watulivu, tusaidie, tukitaka kusaidia ndio hii mambo yarakishe. tujaribu kutokaribia pale ambapo polisi wanafanya uchunguzi, ndio tuwape nafasi ya kuharakisha, kwa sababu hata nao wanataka kuharakisha. Mnaona giza imefika, sasa ni saa 1 karibu na dakika 30. Mimi nataka niwaulize wananchi na niwashukuru kwa kujitolea. Najua wengi wenu.
Okay, so cheki hiyo ndio kitu alikuwa anapatiana, but pia ikikam to umse and kumbuka niko nimesema at the end of this at some point alikuwa Ruto damu. So there's something that he said, and he was talking about 2027 and safeguarding the presidency right now, and it goes back to like tunasema where tomorrow is not guaranteed, because the way he was talking about 2027, damn, he's not lived to see it. Najua si yenyewe tumekuwa tukijichocha juu 2027, but we know if we live to see it, we don't. But of course hawezi tembea ukifikiria what if sitakuwa. You have to enjoy the moment. Najua you have to just wake up and be like and you continue. If shit happens, shit happens. I think inakuwaga ni, I always quote Epicurus semaga fear not death, because when you're here it's not, and when it's here you're not. Najua raya zitakwambia oh there's life after death, utakuwa pale ukiangalia juu kutoka chini, it's nonsense. You never existed before, you won't exist afterwards, but your works will exist. Anything that you achieved will exist, your kids will exist. So that's now the true life after death. It's your legacy. Yes, your legacy can be your kids, your legacy can be your work. But to lie to yourself that kuna mtu yuko pale juu, mtu angekuwa yuko hapo juu, mimi naweza jam nikidedi alafu nipata nyanyangu alikuwa tu juu ananiangalia, ange whisper no Bitcoin, tajam na yeye takuwa nyanyangu shit nyanyangu okay, ini matusi za okay, wacha tusikize ira iko inabonga juu 2027.
Kwa hivyo naibu wa rais ujue, sisi tutalinda hii serikali kama vile mtu analinda bibi yake. Tutalinda kama vile mtu analinda watoto yake. Tutalinda na nguvu yote na mali yetu yote. Hiyo maneno mnasemanga Ruto must go, sio kitu mzuri, na sio ati tu kwa sababu ni neno upusi kidogo tu ati huyu must go. Hii nchi ni yetu na tutailinda na damu na jasho. Hatuwezi kubali watu waharibu nchi.
Sikio, tutailinda na damu na jasho. Hiyo pati ya damu jo ninashtua, cause makara wa Kenya au juaga wanalinda nchi. Ukiuliza kwa nini wanafanyia watu hizo vitu wafanyaga during protest, according to them they are safeguarding the country.
Ati kwa sababu ya siasa iko 27. Kama unataka kiti ujipange 27 ukuje. Iko 32. Kama uwezane na 27 iko ya 32. Kama uwezane ya 32 iko ya 42. Ngoja sisi huko. Lakini hii yenye tumeiweka kwa mfuko tutaichunga kwa hali na mali.
Cheki, hii tumeweka kwa mfuko tutaichunga. So hii ilikuwa yeye akibonga juu 2027. And of course the worst thing about it in your life is also the best thing about it. You never know kama utabaki umeona hiyo time. But yes, baadaye nilibaki nimecheki even watu wanaitwa nini, The Star walikuwa wameandika the bodies of victims who died in the helicopter crash in Nandi County are being offloaded at the mortuary of Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. Alafu of course wakabaki wameseti like the whole like there was a video, but even they themselves have to put the video in black and white because that's how of course horrific. Hautaki kuona kitu kama in colored, najua. So yeah, unachikiwa sawa kwa hapo wakimove nini, but it shows you the fragility of this thing called life. And also sometimes unaonaga hizi maybe hizi times like these prominent guys wakidedi, na kwa pia ni a moment for personal reflection. And where should personal reflection take you? It should take you to the spot where you know that you're living your life, najua, and you have to live it the best way you know how as an individual, because the reality of life is people move on. History tutabonga juu yake leo, afu one day tutasahau. Kumbuka kuna time tulikuwa tukiamka asubuhi ni jirongo, jioni ni jirongo, whatever ni jirongo, tukasahau. Kumbuka the country for I think was it 3 days ama whatever days, kumbuka ile time ya Raila, it was just Raila and basically the country came to a standstill for some time and we moved on. Huo ni mseka Raila, najua that's a famous person, that's a popular person. Now we try to zoom out, come back to yourself as an individual And we live in the era of social media. And because we live in the era of social media, we live in a time where sometimes we want to please other people, even if it comes at the expense of ourselves. And this goes back to ile conversation we have na kina Prezo. Ile, I think ni Daddy V alikuwa anasema kile Prezo aliulizagwa like, what does he want in life? And he said peace. And I think kuna kuwaga na hiyo the realization that what do you want in life? You want ile time una take that last breath to know that you lived your own truth. Najua. Even if your truth was something that other people don't agree with. Nacheki, your truth could be there is no other way than Jesus Christus. That's your truth. Unaenda nayo. And as long as that's what you believed in and that's the nini. Alafu pia kitu moja usemaga la, if you're lucky enough to find your purpose, ile unajuaga like I came to earth to do this, it's a blessing. Naweza patia an example ya like one of my heroes, Bob Marley. Bob Marley inasemekanaga like alikuwa anajua purpose yake ya on earth ilikuwa ku make music. So mpaka hata alienda pameambia like Rita Marley that you'll always come second. Music will always come first. And she ended up understanding that. So, I don't know, for politicians, kama wanaambiaga my wife like you'll always come second. This will come first. Najua, politics. Because politics need power and people have power. And that was Womse. Sikuwa namjua. I'll be wherever. Kunaitwa Johanna Ngeno. And after Nini wasoka fufua tweets za Jacob Juma. And the coincidence, man. Coincidences in life. Zinakuwaga very interesting. That someone tweeted about you on the 28th of February 2016. And then you end up dying on the 28th of February 2026. Exactly 10 years later. It's very interesting, man. Very interesting. And yeah, the mysteries of life. IKONINI.